All right, so we are going back today to work on the 58-foot Hatteras yacht. I definitely have some updates about things here real quick before we get into that. One thing, a lot of people make comments about how we're not taking care of the guy's boat. This is actually the boat owner who's in there looking at this piston right now, and he's going to pull it out of the sleeve here, and then he's going to replace all this flooring, all this wallpaper. The carpeting's all going to get replaced after this job is done. So he wasn't worried about keeping anything clean. So we are not trashing his boat. That's the boat owner right there doing it himself. That was one of the things when we first got there. I'm like, man, I don't know how we're going to keep this place clean. He said, don't worry about it. This is all getting replaced. So that was one of my reasons for taking the job, because I didn't have to worry about keeping anything clean. But anyways, just wanted to clear that up because several people are losing their minds over it. It's his boat. He can do what he wants. That's what he wants. That's fine. He's going to replace it all, replace the carpeting, the wallpaper, the flooring. That's just cheap laminate down there. No big deal. Okay, it's been a few weeks since we've been there. One of the reasons for the delay is that we sent these heads to the machine shop. We knew they didn't look so good, but when they went through them, one head had 5 cracks in it, and the other head had 3 cracks in it. So 8 cracks total in the heads. So they were no good. So we had to source new heads for it. So that's something that took a little bit of time to get ordered and get in. But luckily, he has brand new heads now, not reman heads. He got new ones. And then another thing of concern was because of how hot this engine got with all the cracked liners, broken liners, and we could see, coolant in the oil, gallons of coolant in the oil. There was problems with the coolant passages and stuff too. And the O-rings that seal up against these liners, we were very concerned about because somebody had taken Permatex and put Permatex in there with the O-rings to seal it. So they wouldn't do that unless there was a problem, I think. So he was going to order a kit to pressure test the block in the boat. And normally we would, at that point, we would just want to send the block out and have it checked. But being in the boat, that's not an option to get that block out of there easily. So these inside the block passages, there's all this corrosion and rust and areas that I don't know, pock marks and stuff from cavitation, and it shouldn't be like that. But the little passages that the grooves for the O-rings go into and seal that are down at the bottom here, I'll show you a picture of it here, but those little O-ring grooves are all chewed up too, and because they had the Permatex on there, we were just worried about it, so he was going to pressure test it. These are these big, large O-rings that go in there that seal up against the liner to keep the coolant around the liner. And here you can see how pockmarked the grooves are where the O-rings seal, and we were just concerned about it. I wasn't comfortable moving forward because we didn't know if it was going to leak coolant right back into the oil or not. These passages are very concerning to me. So he went on eBay and he ordered a block pressure testing kit that have these, you put like the cylinders back, the sleeves back down in there, you seal them up, and then you have these like fake head type things that bolt on the top. And then that allows you to pressure test the block to make sure that it's going to seal and not leak coolant. It was very heavy. It got shipped in 3 boxes. One of the boxes got lost in the mail. So he said, let's just go ahead and do it. He's going to take a gamble that the block's okay. So fingers crossed. Okay, so this box is most of the specialty tools for assembling the engine. This is a height gauge to check the block height. I've got all my governor tools in that box there. Some protection for the piston rods, Permatex hold down, test cup for the wrist pins, make sure they don't leak, and peanut butter, height gauges, valve compressor, a bunch of other Detroit setup tools. There's an actual Detroit tune-up kit on the bottom down there. That kind of like bright one. So this box here is most of the specialty stuff, and there's a couple of guide studs that we made for the lower the heads on. We got torque wrenches, big and small, some hammers, sockets, ratchet sets, lots of other things. Inspection camera, towels, piston ring compressor. That's a lot of tools. Hopefully we got everything. Well, they did move the boat from, it was down at the end of one dock. They moved it to another dock. It's a lot less of a walk for us to get to it. But one of the things people have asked about, what condition is the other engine in? Because this has twin engines, twin 8V92 TIs. And the other engine isn't a whole lot better than what this one is. They were starting to have some problems with it. When they went to move the yacht, they had to add 2 gallons of coolant to it to be able to move it down to this new slip where it's at here. And he knows the other one's going to be rebuilt. He had asked us originally to do them both. I said I cannot commit the time to do them both. So he's going to get it back home to Florida, and then he's going to rebuild the other one there. That's always been his plan, I guess, to rebuild the engines. So he knew that maybe he thought he'd make it home with them, but his plan was to always rebuild them. They were rebuilt in 1992, but then two of the cylinder liners that came out have the date code of 1995. So at some point, somebody got into it, and maybe that's when they did all the Permatex on the liners and all that stuff when they did that. But that's just more red flags when you see that the engine's been torn apart at some other point, but it's not documented in the logbooks about that. Well, it is a beautiful, calm, cool winter day here. Go ahead. So he's been doing a bunch of cleaning here. We got a little bit more cleaning to do around the head, I see. Get that all cleaned up, but I'm gonna start assembling cylinder kits here first. Actually, we're gonna put the camshaft in first. Then I'm gonna start assembling cylinder kits while they do the main bearings on the bottom end. He does have it up another 4x4 in height, so we should have a lot better access to get to it. Well, the replacement used camshaft looks a lot better on the left than the one on the right, which is the old one that we're taking out with all the wear and craziness on it.
Too small.
Oh, that's fine.
A little sharp on the edge. Don't cut your finger on
Go a little bit further. Okay, hang on a second. Rotate it that way just a little bit. So this thing here, probably about 9 o'clock is what gets the keyway straight up on the other end. Let's pull it back just a little bit and I'll take a peek. I can't see it. Yeah, that's almost straight up on the keyway. I'll pre-oil that now.
Yes, that would be nice.
Go backwards the other way. Stop. Go back. Tiny bit. Right there.
Can't rotate it.
So the cam bearings are in now. We're just aligning them to where the hole lines up with the hole. And then they go in at 15 to 20 foot-pounds. Thanks. Where am I at? Here we go. So there's a hole, one round hole in there. And it just needs to line up for the screw. Go ahead. Nothing like rebuilding an engine in a living room, but that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm upstairs in one of the rear areas, I don't know, salon, I don't know what they call it, assembling piston kits. So that's my job today. One of the very important jobs after you install these wrist pin retainers at the end, they seal, and you have to make sure you put a vacuum on them and hold it and make sure it's not leaking. Otherwise, oil will leak alongside the piston. The piston rods are the only parts that are getting reused from the old engine there. So all the pistons, wrist pins, all that stuff is getting new. Just the rods are being reused. It is amazing the engine was still running with pistons like that. The new one looks a lot better. Yeah, if you were losing your mind about the condition of us leaving the engine room area, look what he's done to this area here. He's got boat engine parts. It's like we're doing a rebuild of an engine in a living room right here is what it looks like. I did not make this mess. I am only working on this little table here assembling the pistons. All right, well, I've been upstairs assembling piston kits today. Jonathan's been down here doing the main bearings on this thing. He rolled out all the uppers, and they're just now finishing the last main bearing now, and they got the thrust washers to do as well.
Do me a favor and take this dress off that top O-ring on that. Push that pin, that bottom. Yeah, see the O-ring? Yeah, I know where that sugar stress it.
Hold that. Push the thrust washer back up there.
He has been in circus all week. Comfortable, Jonathan?
No. Take that.
Yeah, he's a real trooper, man. He was upside down all day long doing those main bearings. It was hard to get to him, hard to reach, hard to see, very uncomfortable positions. And then at one point, a giant yacht went flying by us with a huge wake, and the boat started shaking violently, I would call it. I mean, they were very large waves, rocking back and forth. And Jonathan got sick instantly, and so did I. He was down in the bottom there. I was upstairs, and the boat sways a lot more upstairs, and I was looking down, concentrating on what I was doing. And for me, it's like when I'm reading in a car, if you hit a curve while I'm doing that, it makes me sick, and that's what happened. And I never recovered from it the rest of the day. I was still nauseous and seasick. It just got me. It was giving me a headache and just out of it. But that did not make the job fun at all. Okay, well, that was it for today. I didn't shoot a lot of video, but we're going to start the assembly on it the beginning of the week next week. We'll shoot lots of video of everything going back together on it. Remember, I'm just doing the engine stuff, and the owner is doing all of the marine side of things. All the cooling systems and all that stuff, turbos and everything, he's taken off. So we're just going to rebuild the block. We'll put the pistons, the liner kits in, and we'll get the heads on, and we'll get the top end run and everything, and then he's going to take it from there. But it's probably going to be like 2 more days, I think, before we get our part of it done. But now that I have a couple more cylinder kits to put together, but almost everything's, we can easily put half the engine back together. I think it's going to be Tuesday, and then go from there.
See that white smoke rising up the holler through the trees, and from a mile away you can hear them play as they climb that hill with ease. At the top of that mountain there's a new life waiting for those who can make the run. If they can make it to the top, Scott will put them in the shop till their new life has begun. Mountain, where the buses come to run. Bus Grease Mountain, we're gonna get that big job done.